Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Just want to do a quick video for you explaining how to play from start to finish rules light RPG called Shenanigans. Okay, I designed it so that you can play it in the car or your lunch breaks with your kids or your mates. You don't need anything, you don't need any character sheets. All you need is a six-sided dice. So here we go. So the first thing you need to do is set out a world. So think about the world you want to play in and get a storyteller to make it clear how the world works, how the environment works, how things like magic or the force or any special powers within that world might look and how they work, so that everyone kind of understands where they're playing and the limitations that their characters might have. Second of all, make yourself a character. So each of the people that are playing, get them to think about the characters they want to be within the game. Get them to thoroughly describe their characters, what they physically look like, their kind of personalities, any weapons they might have, any special powers, magic, things like that they might have, how their characters work. Encourage them to find some flaws with their characters. The best characters, as we all know, have kind of weaknesses or flaws or something kind of wrong with them. Add those in. Encourage them to describe how they all know each other and how they've come to be in the event. Once you've got all your characters and the world they're in, start your story in the normal way with an RPG, so talk through the adventure. And when you get to a point in the adventure where you're not sure what's going to happen, you can use the mechanic that we've set up, the dynamic targeting, dice difficulty targeting, to sort of agree or find your way forward to see if you're successful, if you succeed or you fail in the task that you're going to do. So let me tell you how that works. So quickly, just going through it quickly, use 3 six-sided dice. You roll them separate. You roll them separately. You add the scores together, and if that score is equal or higher to the target number that the storyteller sets, you're successful. If it's not, then you've failed. So for example, you come across a locked box and you want to try and break into it. The first thing that happens is a storyteller will ask you how you want to do it. So thinking of your character and the world you live in, describe as creatively as possible how it is you think your character can best achieve what it is they're trying to do. The storyteller then sets out a difficulty number for you to try and beat. All difficulty numbers start at 11, and then the storyteller, factoring in everything about the characters, the story, the situation that they're in, the environment, injuries, everything you can think of that might affect a character's ability to be successful or fail at this, you need to factor in, and then you just adjust that 11 higher or lower to make it easier or difficult. The higher it is, the harder it is, the lower it is, the easier it is. And then the player, the character, then rolls the first six-sided dice. Based on that score, starts a little bit of narration describing how it is that task is going for them. So if it's low, it's going to be going hard, and if it's a high score on the first dice, there's a good chance they're going to be successful. So they can just do a quick narration of how that looks. Excuse me. So then they roll a second dice, which is your bonus dice. You add the first dice and second dice together. If you hit the target number or get more than the target number already, you can get a bonus. So the GM, the storyteller, will give you some kind of bonus to your character. It might be that you regain an extra life point. It might be you do an extra life points worth of damage. It might be you get an extra bonus dice to roll next time when you've got a check. It might be the next check you have to do is slightly easier because you're feeling sort of really good and confident now about yourself. Some kind of small bonus to give to the player, the character, for hitting it already within 2 dice. So if you fail, you get to roll your last dice, your make or break dice, and you use the score of this combined with the other 2 to see if ultimately you're successful or you fail, and then you then narrate the story and carry on as you go. So how does that look in terms of combat? So first of all, we'll talk about normal combat attacks. So in this example, we'll say you've got a bow. So you come across a goblin and you decide you want to shoot the goblin. Simply describe how it is you want to attack him. So you pull back, you're going to use your bow for this. You've already said in your character description that you've got a bow. You're going to pull it back and try and shoot this goblin. The storyteller will factor in everything about the environment, about the goblin, how big it is, its armour, its kind of skill level, and the character's skill level and how good they are with a bow, all taken from the character description and the story. And you've set a difficulty, as we just talked about, raise it or lower it depending on all the different factors, and then you roll your 3 dice and see how you get on. So that's how you attack. When it comes to defending, it's always assumed that an NPC automatically hits the player. So it's down to the player to describe how it is they're going to dodge deflect, parry, evade, or whatever. Stop this attack from hitting them. Be as creative as you can. You might get some extra points off your storyteller for being creative. He will set the difficulty based on all the things we've just discussed. You roll your 3 dice, you see if you succeed or fail. If you fail, you're going to lose a life point. If you succeed, then you've successfully done whatever it is, you've dodged it or whatever. Players all start with 4 life points. There's 3 different levels of NPCs, so it's dead easy for a storyteller to drop them into the story at any point. So easy NPCs are going to have 1 life point or less per player in the game. Medium NPCs are going to have 2 points or less per player in the game, and the hard ones are going to have 2 life points or more per players in the game. So magic and special powers are kind of very similar to the combat, really. You've already discussed the world you're in, you've already discussed the character you're in, so you should have a good idea about how powerful or not and what kind of magic or special powers your character's got. So within those kind of boundaries that you've already set out, describe what it is you're trying to do. Maybe you're going to go invisible, maybe you're going to use the force to push them back, maybe you're going to sort of summon vines to come from the ground, maybe you're going to do a fireball, whatever it is. Describe what you want to do and how it's going to affect the NPC that you're going for based on what you said and all the factors. The storyteller sets out the difficulty of it, starting with 11 and then adjusting it, and then you roll your dice and see how you get on, whether you succeed or fail. If you succeed, you do your damage. Coup de grace, killings, so sort of instant deaths, as long as you describe that's what you're trying to do, so the storyteller can set the difficulties. There's no reason why with their agreement you can't go ahead and try that. It might be that there's a series of checks that lead up to it to see if you're going to be successful. So you might have to sneak a little bit or whatever to get there. Other things that might do you massive damage, so you might want to try something like climbing up a massive cliff that if you fail is going to do you a lot of damage. The storyteller sets that out or explains that to you before you go ahead. So you can say, yeah, I want to climb up this cliff, and she'll say, well, you can do, but listen, if you fail, you're going to lose 3 health points, or you might even die. You never know. So that's kind of how you play Shenanigans. I'm just trying to think of anything else. You can play it without a storyteller. So if you've got a story, for example, The Hobbit, that you all know the start and finish, you can all be characters within the story. Take it in turns to be the storyteller, setting the difficulties. Obviously, you can't set difficulties for your own character, and just swap round as you go. Maybe every other check, or maybe when you come to a different scene, let somebody else have a go at it. So that's kind of the idea behind Shenanigans. Quite simple. You tell a story, you go along, you get to a point where you kind of don't know what's going to happen, or you some sort of combat or some kind of decision to be made. You run the dice mechanic, say what you want to do. Storyteller sets a difficulty. You roll your 3 dice. First dice, you tell a bit of the story. Second dice, potentially you get a bonus if you succeed quickly. And then the third dice to see what happens ultimately, whether you succeed or fail. Play through the story, you've got your 4 life points. And NPCs as we discussed. Hope you like it. Maybe it's something you can try with your kids, or in the car, or at break times with your mates, or whatever. Anyway, stay tuned. There's a link in the description underneath where you can download the PDF, which probably explains it better than I did. And until then, see you later. Take care. Bye bye.